This might be an interesting video for a few of you folks. Maybe. Remember I said I could fix everything and almost anything? It's an almost. Look, I can't fix bad marriages, ugly girlfriends, and money problems. Because I've had all of those. Still have a few of them. Um, I had a nagging problem with Tara since I put the new motor in her. Number one, I think I screwed up. I'm not saying somebody didn't. That's what I told you about. Leave it, drop it off here and leave it and we'll get around to it type of thing. Well, anyway, look, I'm not going to point any fingers at something that could have very well been my mistake. But normally, people that know me know I'm very stringent, especially when you're doing work for other people. There's a thing called a due diligence. And when it's me and I have other projects, I did have other projects. And people weren't showing up. Oh, I'll help you out. And then they want their stuff fixed. And, they don't realize that. Well, I think they do. I just think, well, fuck that guy. I'm going to do what I'm going to do type of thing. And I think we've all been there. But I got this kit. This was a kit. This is off of, I hate to admit it again, Fleabay. Aren't they pretty? Now, I'm going to give you a theory. Nothing on this box. They're Chinese, but what I'm trying to say is Germany, when it was occupied, they used to market made in Germany or occupied Germany, and China did the same, or Japan did the same thing for a while when Japan was occupied. And Germany is one of the only places you're going to get something, I think nowadays, and I forget where else. There is another place where they don't put any markings on their origins of parts because they normally don't sell the stuff domestically. You have to be a really in the club type of importer. You're not a domestic, or I should say exporter. You're, what do you want to call it? A minority elite exporter to export some products because, and in some cases, they're not welcome in countries. But let's get to these spark plugs. I'm going to give you every corner of this box, front, side. Now notice, okay, just says spark plugs. And they seem fairly well. I don't have to get out the scale to tell you. They actually tip out 2 grams heavier than a Delco plug. And why can't I get it open? I don't know if it's a true iridium, but we're going to find out because I got a lifter ticking in a miss, and I think I know what it is. I think it's a plug. You see, I was just out to get it running, and I shoved the old plugs back in it, and actually 2 of the old plugs that I had for it went missing. So I shoved old plugs from something in it, and normally I only keep those around if I got to test for spark to see that I'm getting spark. But a lot of times I don't pull a spark plug or a set of plugs unless I know it's the plugs. I'm the same way with wires. Now, when you're dealing with this Chinese crap, especially if you have an anomaly, if your engine starts out with an anomaly right out and you have that Chinese stuff on it, you don't know what is going on. You see, I had one of those problems that was plaguing me. What the hell is going on? I got everything together. I even changed the cam sensor, and it was starting okay, but it was running with this miss. Now, like I said, I've narrowed the miss down, but after I put everything together and got it running, I'm getting this oscillating idle. That is fully extended. So I get boop boop like a bent valve. You normally on an engine without all this hocus pocus, when you're running it on startup and you get boop boop through the exhaust pipe, that is a bent valve. Now it's down to a miss, so I know it's a plug and it was this. because first shot, boom, right over. A lot of times people are having you look at the fuel pressure or the fuel's draining out of the rails. It's the fuel pressure regulator. A lot of times it's this. When it doesn't start on the first crank, starts on the second, it's usually your air idle. Now, the other source of that is your cam sensor. Very seldom is it a crank sensor. If you're getting weak spark, that's usually a crank sensor because it is not telling the true engagement. The computer sort of fires by instinct instead of the computer has a memory. That's why it adjusts when there's a new part, because that computer's running by the memory and the positions of the sensors. And a lot of people don't understand that about. I'm just coming into that, being at my age. I have to do a lot more research, and I have to look for intelligent people to talk to. And that's why when you take your vehicle someplace, they can't diagnose your vehicle when you're standing there at the counter, it's doing this, because it could be a half dozen things. But when you're getting in there and they're getting dishonest with you, here's a way to avoid getting yourself stuck in the tail feathers, in the pants, by something like this. 60, 80,000 miles, some cars go out to 90. If it hits 100,000 miles, start changing stuff like this, because this is an actuator that works all the time, just like your throttle position sensor. Okay, you check things like your neutral safety switch for rust, because it's stuff that's going to leave you sit until the garage figures it out what it is. Tracking some these trucks, this generation of Silverado, I would say the 99 new body style to about 2010 are pretty simple compared to the new stuff. I mean, that is out there. And that is all computer generated, and the only thing you're going to work on it with is a computer. Now, my son, I said to my son on the phone, I said, I have an oscillating idle. He says, geez, Dad, that's probably your air idle. And that was in the back of my mind, but when somebody else says it, I'd like to prove my son right for once, because he had been pretty lackadaisical. It's bad for a father to criticize his. I'm not even going to say it's laziness. He's very occupied with his job, and then to have a moment with your girlfriend and for yourself, maybe to go, like he enjoys shooting and he enjoys outdoors a little bit and he enjoys his friends. And when you're at that age, that's critical to have those friends, because I did too. And I used to make time out for them just to entertain my friends and have a good time with them. It's part of life. Now I'm at my age where they're all dead or they've moved away, and people have so many money problems they can't come around and see anybody. I have a friend that lives out. He lives out the back of Kutztown, and I would have loved to have seen him. And Mike says to me, "I just getting over an illness. I was out of work almost a week." And he says, I got to get my nose back to the grind. I said, okay, Mike, I'll come see you for the holiday, because it's getting to be the holidays. All right, so I just wanted to tell you that sometimes your instincts pay off. I went right after the cam sensor thinking it was the cam sensor, because that controls the idle and the spark. And I was having a hell of a time with that thing, with the idle and the timing and everything else. Well, I fired it right up, and she's a tiger. So remember about putting the Chinese auto parts on first? No. If your old parts were all working and the engine was working, put it back together that way. Now, changing out those sensors on a rebuild, like cam sensors, when you have that engine apart and you have it out of the truck, that's the time to do those things. Even the crank sensor, because some of that stuff just getting at it, you either got to be a contortionist, an acrobat, or a magician, and those things get to be a little bit stressful. So take it from me about the king of Silverados. There's nothing I can't figure out about a Silverado. The only thing I can't also correct is these bad Chinese auto parts, and especially stuff from eBay. I have 2 items that didn't show up at all, and they don't want to give me my money back, and eBay just sent me the thing about their money back guarantee, and it's 2 weeks already. The part didn't show up. It ain't showing up. And I know there's been a bunch of problems with the airline, flying air freight and stuff with these, the government shutdown. And that's another thing. We're going to get the critic about Trump. Okay? I doubt the Republicans, they cooked themselves, both parties. They really did, with this shutdown. That's how the communists got in there. Everybody thinks the communists are where the hell's Mandani going to get all that money to do all those fruity things that he says he's going to do? You get back to me in the comments on that. When you're federally funded through a president that is not on board with your agenda, you're cooked right from the start because you have no money to get. And basically, all Mandani or whatever the hell you want to call him, I call him Man Dingbat. The Man Dingbat up there in New York, that son of a bitch is going to take off with taxpayers' money. That's all he's there for. Just like AOC. She got her horse face fixed. She got her horse teeth fixed. She bought her Mercedes. A typical political whore. Thanks for listening to my political commentary, folks. Have a nice, if I don't make another video before the holidays, I'm pretty preoccupied I've got a lot of projects that I want to knock off, and I'm just not in the mood for it with everything going on. Thanks for watching my videos.